Let Them All Talk, out on HBO now, directed by Steven Soderbergh, starring Meryl Streep, Gemma Chan, Lucas Hedges, Candice Bergen, and Diane Wiest. It's a mix of character driven drama and, if I'm honest, cruise ship commercial. The catalyst for the story is Alice, played by Meryl Streep. She's an accomplished writer who, in total secrecy, is working on a new novel that the publishing house has high hopes for, and they hope it will be a sequel to her most famous book. Alice also just got an award all the way in Ireland, and she wants to go collect it because it means a lot to her, but she is adamant about not flying. The publishing house, in the person of Gemma Chan's character Karen, puts her on a cruise ship that goes from the US to Ireland, and Alice is allowed to bring a few people along with her. One of them is her nephew Tyler, played by Lucas Hedges, who helps her out a bit and ends up also agreeing to be somewhat of a spy for Karen, who also gets on the ship without informing Alice. She wants to sort of stay in the shadows and check on the progress of the new book. And Alice also brings two of her oldest friends, Roberta and Susan. Apparently, the three of them have been very close together in the past, but then drifted apart, and now maybe they'll be able to reconnect, but there's clearly some unresolved drama between them. And onto the cruise we go, and the film juggles all these character relationships. Alice and her beloved nephew, Tyler hanging out with Karen and quickly falling in love with her, the three older ladies being prevented from truly connecting by events from the past. There's also a mysterious stranger that visits Alice's room. There's another famous writer also on the ship, and it all goes on for about 2 hours. Now, Steven Soderbergh is usually a pretty talented director, but he seems to be on some sort of streak of bad luck recently. Just last year, he made The Laundromat for Netflix, which I thought was terrible. Tonally, just all over the place. A very weird movie. And now he's made a film that to me is even worse. I'll start with the biggest, most unforgivable sin, which is that it's so nightmarishly boring. As I said, it's a character driven movie, which means that the story itself doesn't really do anything beyond the initial setup. But the problem is that the characters themselves also aren't really that interesting, and the dynamics between them felt unengaging and just really, really bland. And through it all, there really is no sense of movement, that the movie is going anywhere. Now that I think of it, technically, yes, a few of the characters do undergo a slight change over the course of the film. There's something in their lives that moves. But as I was watching the movie, I didn't really consciously register that between all the yawning that I was doing. There's one thing that the movie does which is fairly experimental, and I thought was a failed experiment. Apparently, the script did not contain specific dialogue for any of the scenes, rather just a rough outline of what's supposed to happen, and then the actors just improvised all their lines from there. Admittedly, that makes for a more naturalistic language, but what it also means is that there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of people making drawn out pauses, going repeating words, run of sentences, ranting, in general, just speaking in a very unstructured way. And let me tell you, maybe this is the way a lot of people speak in real life, unscripted scenarios, but in a movie, it just doesn't sound very good. I personally got frustrated with the way the characters talked in the film. I also felt that the whole story was a glorified pretext to film on a cruise ship and do a sort of ninja commercial, show all the beautiful lounge rooms, bars, swimming pools, and so on, and sell people on the idea of embarking on one of those cruises. It's a shame, really, seeing as there's a lot of talent involved in the movie. I mentioned Soderbergh already, who I think has it in him to make great movies, and he has done so in the past. But apart from him, we have the cast, who I think, they're really talented actors and actresses, and they were trying as hard as they could to do a good job. Meryl Streep is great as usual. Gemma Chan has great chemistry with Lucas Hedges. The standout for me was Candice Bergen as Roberta. She's by far the most interesting character, and I felt a lot of that was her performance. But that whole cast doesn't save the train wreck that the film is. At the end of the day, I'm even struggling to think what it was aiming to be. A fully serious character drama, a mix between drama and comedy, a ship commercial. Whatever the aim was, the end result is boring, unexciting, and disappointing in almost every way. Stay away from this one.